Okay, so here we go. 2015, question number 3. It's good to have this open probably because when I'm drawing up here on the board, it doesn't look exactly like it does on the screen here, but we can kind of figure out the answers from here. So 2015, question number 3, this starts to talk a lot about, do you understand how to read this graph and put in the answers? And the first question says, it says, well, first of all, it says the graph below shows the market for widgets. The government is considering intervening in this market. Okay, so what kind of intervention are they going to do? Not quite sure yet, but this market for widgets, which is a fictitious product, right, has an equilibrium price of $20 and an equilibrium quantity of $20. So before we start looking at anything, we should really start looking at this graph. We should really start looking at this graph to kind of figure out what's happening here, okay? And to do that, just check it out and see where the supply is and the demand is for this right here. And you can see that they have this labeled as the demand curve right here, all right, downward sloping, and then they have this supply curve, all right, with this equilibrium quantity of $20 and price of $20. So we can see that's where we are in the marketplace here, okay? And for the government to intervene means they either think we're not producing enough, the socially optimal quantity, or we're producing too much, or we want to limit or set a quota on what's being produced here. All right, so first question says, calculate the total surplus at the market equilibrium price and quantity. So the total producer surplus. So the total producer surplus would be, based on this graph right here, would be this triangle right here from here, and I'm going to draw all over this thing, so it might get confusing, but at least you'll see what it is. That would be the producer surplus. And so to figure that out, we would take the quantity here, which is 20, and multiply that, the quantity here, which is 20, and then multiply that by the price, which is 20. Okay, so 20 times 20 would give us 400. Okay, and then it's a triangle, so let's divide that by 2. And so our total producer surplus here for 3A would be 200. Okay. The next question says, if the government imposes a price floor at $16, is there a shortage, a surplus, or neither? Explain. Well, let's check out. This is where the equilibrium is at, 20, right? The dollar amount of 20. So now they want to come in and put a price floor in so the price doesn't drop below a certain amount. Well, that $16 is going to be right about here. And if the price floor is set here, the price is already at 20. The government shouldn't worry about it dropping to 16 because that's where the equilibrium price is already set, is at 20. All right, so it gives you that answer. Is there a shortage, a surplus, or neither? Neither. All right, and the reason is because the price floor would be set below market equilibrium, having no effect. All right, so that's B. C says, if instead the government imposes a price ceiling at $12, is there a shortage, a surplus, or neither? Explain. They want to make sure that you know where the price ceiling would be set. To be an effective price ceiling, it would need to be below equilibrium, and at $12, the price ceiling would be right around here, right? And we would see that based on this chart right here, this is what would be producers would be willing and able to supply, would be around that amount, but the demand, because it was such a low price, would be a lot higher. So what happens here is it says, would there be a shortage, a surplus, or neither? There definitely would be a shortage. So C, shortage. demand at $12 would be greater than what producers would be willing to produce. Produce, okay? D, if instead the government restricts the market output to 10 units, setting that limit at 10, it says, calculate the deadweight loss, show your work. Well, this is where the market equilibrium is at, and what's happening is here, since the government imposes this $10 quantity limit, this amount in the marketplace would be lost. This would be considered the deadweight loss right here. So that, according to the chart here, that would be 10 and 40. So we would take that amount, and to figure this out, we would say 40 minus 10 would give us $30, and the amount of units would be from 10 to 20 we would lose, so it would be 30 times 10 units equaling $300 divided by 2 because it's a triangle, giving us a dead weight loss equal to $150. For E, it says assume the price decreases from $20 down to $12. Okay, so we have a price decrease of $20 to $12. So what we need to understand is elasticity of demand. And to figure that out, we want to take the percentage change in quantity over the percentage change in price. So at this point, when we have that $12, all right, it's changing from $20 to $12. You can see that what's going to be supplied is at 12. All right, what's going to be demanded here based on that chart that you have is going to be 24. So we went from 20 to 24. So we saw an increase there. All right, price was lowered. We saw more people being willing and able to purchase it, right? So we see this difference here of 4. So to get the percentage change in quantity, we would see that 20 actually increased by 4 units. In my head, I can kind of figure that out. But how we figure that out here is we would take 24 minus 20 would give us a change in quantity of 4, all right, divided by 20 gives us, let's see, if we were to break that down, if we were to go 2 over 10 would give us 0.2, would give us 20% change. So a percentage change in quantity would be about 20%. Now let's figure out the percentage change in price. The percentage change in price would be from $20 to $12. Well, that's an $8 difference there, and we can kind of break that down as well. So if we were to take the $20 and subtract out, well, it'd actually be, minus 12. That'd be a decrease of $8. Okay, at this particular point, we would see that negative 8 over 20, break that down by 2, go 4 over 10 would be negative 0.40% here, okay? And this would equal, all right, if we put 0.20 over negative 0.40 would give us a negative 0.5 or 50%, all right? So we would look at this and say, well, it's below 1 here, all right? Here showing our work that price is inelastic, okay? In this particular case here. Calculate the elasticity, show your work. Is price range, is demand perfectly elastic, relatively elastic, unielastic, relatively inelastic, or perfectly elastic? We would say that it is, price is relatively, inelastic. Sorry for the mess, but you get the idea. All right, guys, take care.